Welcome back to this is the night. 99% sure this is my favorite room, right? Earless, where we at?
We are in the Good Vibes room. Today we brought to you some special people we work with. Hold up, I'm not going to their names just yet. But what brings us here?
We're here to just bring you guys some information, have some fun, maybe feed you a little bit, maybe learn some stuff, whatever we can do to improve ourselves and improve our service to you guys, right? So without further ado, let me introduce two lovely ladies that we have with us today.
Let's start with you first.
With me.
Yes. Who are you? What do we do right here?
Man, we go first. I'll go first. I am Leon Palacio, your favorite loan officer with the MBM powered by Cardinal Financial. And you are?
Earless Sabazi. I'm a law officer as well here with MBM powered by Cardinal Financial. We are here to bring you some exciting information today. It's going to be fun. We'll enjoy every second of this podcast. And this is our night podcast. So if you missed us, we weren't gone. We're just preparing, to get, provide you with information that you actually do need. You're going to learn a great stuff today with us. So like you said earlier, let's go ahead and introduce our special guest here with us. Go ahead.
We'll start off with Don Kaneki, who is our branch operational manager / jack of all trades / saves my ass at least 3 times a week. And we had another jack of all trades.
We have Shane Hamilton. She's also our closing specialist. She knows the closing disclosures inside and out. She's going to explain to us today, what goes down, what happens, what the numbers mean, why are they important to you as a consumer. So without any further ado, Shane, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brings you to the mortgages?
Mortgage world is fun, because no two things are the same. No two loans are the same. They may be the same product, but they're not the same. Everybody's a little different.
So that's good. That's a good start. So you're a closing specialist. What does that mean?
So as a closing specialist, what I do is once we get to the part where we're at the end of the road, your loan's about to close, I look over all of your fees, match them up with the title company, just to make sure all of your fees are correct when it comes down to taxes, insurance, HOA fees, if you have an HOA, things to make sure all of your closing costs are in line with what you were expecting. Keep in mind, though, it could be a little different, because in the beginning, we just estimates. So you got to remember, and one of it.
You know why Shay is one of my favorite people?
Tell me.
It's because I have a tendency of over-disclosing, and I do that for one simple fact, is I want to look like a superstar at the end. And don't worry, I got this special person called Shay, and she's going to hook us up. She's going to knock $2,000 off the closing costs.
Oh, no, don't work like that. Sounds good. Now it's real good.
For something
Doesn't already.
So you mentioned an estimate. Correct. So we estimate in the beginning, right? And then the final numbers at the end of the whole process, you're the one who puts them together, make sure that they're matching with the title agency, right? And then they see our customers, they review that information. Do you ever need to touch with the customers?
Every once in a while, I do talk to the customers. It all depends, because as you mentioned, I'm the jack of all trades. So with some of the borrowers, I do with them from day one of the application all the way through to closing.
Wow.
So when I'm there from day one, yes, I am in constant contact, asking questions, filling in any breaks, gathering information, holding hands, drying tears.
Good. Well, I have one question. I got to ask you this. What are the most common questions that our customers ask you?
Is it really this much? I mean, a lot of times when they see those estimates in the beginning and they don't realize that things have changed, because they may have a little bit of a house that didn't have a HOA in the beginning. Right. And then when they change their mind, they get on the contract, and guess what? They have a HOA now, and they're like, wait, that fee code, what does this mean? And then I'm there to explain it all to them, and make it all it's all worth it. It's part of the dream that they're trying to accomplish, right?
I don't know if it's part of the dream, but it's definitely part of the reality.
It is not these fees, they change on a regular basis. And the fact that you hold it and you kind of walk them through the process, so they can understand exactly what they're signing, what they're getting themselves to. That's so I heard of my closing agent at all times. That part, I'm seeing all So give us we'll talk about the closing. So there's like taxes and there's insurance and then there's other fees that come with the closing and with the mortgage and being that insured. So give us a brief description of these fees. Who they paying that to?
Okay. So when you have your closing disclosures, there's different sections on it. So as you start writing through the sections, you'll see part of it is lender fees. Because yes, there are application fees and credit report fees, all things that we have to collect. And then if you go down your closing disclosure, you'll see title fees and things that are paid to the title agents or the things that they've done for you. Because, they look it up, they make sure that the title is clear, they make sure there's no liens on the property. So all of that is part of what's on the closing disclosure. And then we have taxes and insurance, and we're in a fun type of year because here in Lee County / Collier County, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, the property insurances, the taxes, taxes, property taxes, not the property insurance, but the taxes, they are going to be due. So like you start getting your notices out in November. So this is a fun time of year to be buying a house because sometimes people are confused, like, what is this? What is that? Because they're looking at last year's taxes, whereas it could have went up this year because property values change, trim notices change, different fees. So all of that is a few closing.
Oh, then sure. Property taxes are assessed in October, and bills are released in end of November.
Yes, you actually, borrowers will get if the state approved will get a tax trim notice in the end of August that will give them an estimated fee based on this looks what your taxes will be if no changes happen, if the budget is changed or not, and then this will be what if the budget does change, and that will be your ad valorem taxes portion of your tax bill that comes out in August, and then the bills come out at the end of October. You have November to March to pay them, and you'll get a discount, which all others do is they pay the fees in November for you, so they get the discount break. So we will pay the November fees. We will collect the November fees to give all the borrowers discounts.
We jumped the gun.
We didn't jump the gun. First day, with rest, we're one that.
Okay, well, I want Dawn to tell us what she does with this company of ours.
Or I had my house on the
That's the size phone. Mine too. Or the same one. We're the same bucket. We're the same bucket, folks. Dawn fixes, takes care of us, holds our hand from the beginning to the end. If we have questions, concerns, tears, laughs, what else in there?
Everything cut.
All quarters and every wish. So let's give Dawn a few seconds to tell us what do you do for this company? And then how much do you go also? How long have you been working for it?
So I have been into business over 10 years. Almost all of those 10 years have been with Miguel Villarreal, which is our fearless leader here at the MBM Group powered by Cornell Financial. And I've been in different stages. I've been a law officer, I've been a sales manager, and now I'm actually the ops manager. I used to be a banking center manager, which was a very boring job. And this job was not boring ever. Like I mentioned, this job is different every single day. So I don't have a lot of planned activities all week. My activities and just to be there for all of the loan officers, to be there for every question that you have, to be the firefighter, to talk to underwriters, to debate conditions, to help close files, to help the closing specialists, to help the transaction coordinators, to just help everyone that is on our team to get the borrowers from point A, which is when you sign that contract, or even at the pre-qualification stage, until the day you sign your closing papers and you get the keys to the house.
You know what's my favorite thing about Dawn?
Tell me.
Is not only does she know every guideline written, she'll sit there and she'll kind of debate it with you. So I like to push the gun,
I know you.
I push that line as far as I can. She's like, no, that's not how that reads. Right. I'm reading it like this. Right. I'm like, But if you sound it out like this, Don, it makes sense if you think
So you just move the comment
Yeah.
to a different section. So I see what you're doing.
It's all about perception. It's how you understand
Yeah.
it's the
If I can convince Don, I can convince any underwriter out there.
So
And that's what I do. Once they convince me and I feel strongly enough about that condition or guideline that the underwriter is trying to haggle with us, basically, is I will go to bat for it for sure and look at everything and say, okay, this is what we need before we go back and ask for any type of exceptions. So that's what I do all day long. And I just am here to help and I love it. Every day is different. And
I'm not going to lie to you. I've also said that to an underwriter. I was like, look, ask Dawn. She believes, right? It worked. Condition clear. She's like, oh, I guess that makes sense.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So talk about closing disclosures today. What is your intake as far as, how would you define a closing disclosure to a no consumer?
For our first-time buyers,
Right.
what is a closing disclosure? Why is it important? Why should they look out for it?
absolutely. So as a borrower, as a client, you want to pay attention to all the documents that are coming, and of course, if you have any questions as they come through, you want to call your loan officers. If you don't understand something, call your loan officers. So you have a loan estimate that gives you all the estimated fees that come out that you should have, the funds you're going to need at closing. And that, is just the beginning. So as we gather more information about your specific loan, or we need to do more research, or the title company needs to do more research, these fees could change. And we're going to send you out numerous disclosures that tells you the different changes and what's changed during the process. So just pay attention to that. And if you see something that's questionable, better to ask in advance than waiting to get to your closing day when you're expecting to close and then have a bunch of questions, So you want to ask those. But there's a lot of things that can change and there's a lot of things that cannot change. So the lender fees cannot change. There's some sections that cannot change. But there are some things that come up that will change. We may need to add some fees. You could need credit supplements, meaning we need to talk to your creditors more, get more information to your creditors, which there are charges for that. We could estimate your property insurance at a certain amount, and that could actually come in higher once you start shopping for your insurances. So there are some fees that could change. But as a borrower, it's very important that you're reading your documents and asking questions for sure.
So I am going to play the role of a new borrower. I'm going to be the new borrower. So I'm buying a home, and Leon is my loan officer. So I get this loan estimate in the beginning of the transaction, and some of the fees are estimated, such as taxes and insurance or things of that nature, right? So tell me the importance of the closing disclosure.
Well, the closing disclosure is a protection for you. So on the closing disclosure, it's going to actually have a box that tells you what your loan estimate was and what your closing disclosure is. So you will be able to see the differences, and you'll be able to see that the lenders do a really, really good job, and Cardinal does a fantastic job in estimating fees for you. Some companies do not. Some companies underestimate them just to get your business, while other companies do okay job, but I feel like Cardinal does a fantastic job estimating the fees for you. So you definitely want to look at that. The closing disclosure is there as a protection for you, to make sure that the lender is not changing fees that are not allowed to change. It's going to tell you what your payment is on page 1. Page 2 is going to have all your fees, from the lender fees to the title fees to the taxes that the government charges or the state charges to transfer the deed or to transfer the mortgage and record your mortgage in the property and in the county records. And it's also going to have your first year's homeowner's insurance and any property taxes that are due, plus monies needed to set up your, what we call your escrow account, that's going to pay your future property taxes and insurances, and any other things like Shay mentioned. If you have any homeowners association fees due, things like that. Page 3 will have any things that the seller may need to give you credit for if they've already prepaid taxes, or the title company will go through and prorate property taxes to make sure everyone's paying for the taxes based on when they've owned the home. So, and at the end, all the numbers, adding and subtracting, minusing your loan amount, minusing any money you've already put down into the transaction. that would be your number that you will need to bring to closing.
So I like the word protection.
Okay. Expand on that.
Because we're protecting someone's interests, right? Someone's money, someone's future, right? The closing disclosure is with where it's at, right? So we estimate in the beginning, and they want to say, now, look at what it looked like in the beginning, and look how great and good we are, throughout the transaction with the help of Shay, right? And then now we have the final numbers, which truly our hopes are to make sure those numbers do not change, right? To keep them at a minimum so we can save the borrower some money, right? And then protect them. I like that word.
It's exactly what this closing disclosure was made up for, because previous to 2015, there were these things called the good faith estimate and the HUD closing disclosure, but there were no protections out there for the consumers to make sure that these fees didn't change. People would get to the closing table and be like, "Oh, we were just kidding. You need $5,000 or $6,000 more," and they would slap a lender fee on there that you'd just be sitting there expecting your moving trucks outside. You have all your belongings, so people would just pay it. So now these regulations are in place to protect the consumers, to make sure that we're not changing things. Now, obviously, things like insurance change, the lender cannot control that, or property taxes change that we cannot control, but you're not going to see lender fees changing or any fees that the lender is required to charge you change.
I learned a lot.
I always learn a lot from Don.
So, folks, just so we're all on the same page here. The closing disclosure is the protection that we give to you. We put it together, we comb through it. All four of us in this room. We comb through the closing disclosure to make sure that those fees make sense, they're accurate, they match, so you at the end benefit from it, right?
Absolutely.
So yes. I am pleased with the information that we just shared here in our 9th podcast. So that was awesome. It was great. It was great.
So this is my final curveball as we wrap this up, and this is my favorite part of the podcast because it always kind of like jumbles people up. And I'll ask you individually, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to a borrower, what would it be? Shay, we'll start with you.
Just ask. If you don't know or you have any type of curiosity, just ask. There's no stupid questions, and I would love for you to ask me a question versus not to ask me a question.
100%.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
So when you have a borrower asking you the questions and you don't have the answer readily available, what is your turnaround time?
I normally try to get back with them, unless it's a weekend, within the same business day, within an hour or two.
Beautiful. I love that.
Absolutely.
That within an hour or two, you're going to get back to the customer and provide him with the information that he or she needs to make the right decision for his or her future.
Correct.
That's I love the turnaround time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to emphasize that if you don't know, you need to ask, because we do this on a daily basis. And I actually had this conversation with my wife the other day. It's like, how do we present mortgage information without being redundant? I feel like it's all general knowledge. It's really not. And I understand that you guys don't do this on a daily basis. So if you ask me, it's cool. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to get mad. It's not frustration. It's literally what we're here for. So we're here to serve you guys, to help you guys, and to make sure that you're comfortable, not just right now, but in the long term, right? But if you don't ask us the questions, I can't give you an answer.
Exactly. There's no silly questions or dumb questions, because whoever you are, whether you're retired or you're a profession, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you own your own company, you know your business. We don't know your business. I couldn't tell you how to be a doctor. I couldn't tell you how to be a lawyer. I couldn't tell you how to run a business or a cabinet maker or anything like that. We know the mortgages. So don't feel like any question is a silly question, because that's what we're here for.
Right. Definitely. And you better prepare in the event something were to happen. You have all the ducks in a row, and then they're readily available for you when you need them. So ask those questions. Don't hesitate. We are here to assist you, not only during the transaction, but even after. That's like Shay's taxes are due now, right, Shay? Right. So then we have escrows that go in the transaction. What does all that mean to you? Right. So ask those questions That was her favorite part of her job, right?
Yeah.
Right? So now let's turn this over to Dawn and tell us, what is your favorite part?
Oh, my
Doing
favorite
what
part.
you
I
do.
thought I was getting the question Leon asked about what advice.
That's coming, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
coming too. I haven't forgotten about it.
So my favorite part of the job is just helping people. I love to help people. I really do. I sometimes I feel like maybe I get frustrated, but I don't. I love to help. When my phone is ringing and you guys are paying me and I have 14 Zooms and, a bunch of text messages and things needing me, I feel like I've made a difference at the end of the day. And whether my end of the day is at 5 p.m. or 10 p.m., at the end of the day, I feel like I've really helped the more that people reach out to me. Favorite part of my job.
And that's why we love you. And that's
Yes.
why you are where you are, because you support us day in and day out.
Yes.
Austin, now go ahead with your question.
What would be that one piece of advice that you would give to a client, in your case, a loan officer, coworker? What advice would you give?
My one piece of advice to borrowers and loan officers as well to tell their borrowers is to let the borrowers know that we are here to help. Like, our goal is to get the borrowers to the finish line, to get their keys, to sign their papers, to get the happy picture, to walk out with their keys to their new home. So my piece of advice was for the borrowers to always be honest with your loan officer. Know that your loan officer is not trying to ask you questions to not give you the loan. They're trying to ask you questions so they can legally and ethically get you to the closing line. But if you don't tell them everything, then they can't help you. So if they're asking, be honest, and know that your loan officer is not trying to trick you into telling them something. They just need to know so we can get you into the right loan product. And for you loan officers, I would say don't be afraid to ask your clients the questions, because they're counting on you to be the professional and ask the questions, just like when you go to the doctor's office or the attorney's office or the car repair shop. They're asking you the questions so they can help you get what you need.
I love it.
That was a good response. That was a great response.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think we got all the answers, and we did a very good job of putting it all together. The girls gave us information that I did not know, some of it personally, so now I know all the pages of the closing disclosure, what the fees are, where I can find it, what they mean to you and I, and most importantly to the borrower. And closing arguments.
For me, you have no arguments today, which is a rarity.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Until you call me later.
Yeah. Give me
Leave that
5-10 minutes. I'll think of something. Actually, I do have something, but that one we can't talk on there.
Okay.
That is a client that we have to save. CPR, life support.
See that? It's good. We're saving people. Yeah. Sometimes you're the emergency, what do they call those? The paramedics? Sometimes the paramedics. Or sometimes you're the firemen, but in the end, we're just trying to.
So we're the good people.
Yeah.
We are the
good people.
I love that.
Yeah, we are the good people, aren't we?
We are the good people.
We don't get it framed as
We are the good people from the
good vibes.
Good Vibes Room. The honest people from the Good Vibes Room. I love how that flows.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, folks, there you have it. We had our special people, staff members that work together with us. They gave us some sufficient information that we truly, truly need to learn and know. I hope you learned from all of us this morning. Leon, thank you again for your time. Dawn, the same goes for you. Thank you so much for being here with us. And Shay, thank you. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day, and you know where to reach us. What's our website? mvmgrp.com. See you later.